Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome to the first stream on my channel of the new year. Yay, 2022, let us hope. It is better than 2021 in so many ways. Thank you, everyone, for being here. This is... So I like to do a thing in between seasons of Kolos, which is to run something different. And one of the things I like to run that I've been running is Cthulhu Confidential, which is one player, one GM, noir cosmic horror by Pelgrane Press. And I am so lucky and so honored to have today as my player, PumpkinBerry. PumpkinBerry, the amazing!
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. Also, I didn't know this was your first stream of the new year. I feel so special. Let's get me murdered.
Well, you know how it is.
Or not.
Or not. We'll see. Somebody might be murdered. You know, it could be worse than murder. Like, nobody knows, really.
I got this.
You got this.
Ready.
You're an investigator. You're an investigator.
Yeah, I got it.
So we are...
I can apprehend... Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah, it's fine.
Continue.
We are, by the way, I just moved. I moved back to Massachusetts. I'm in my new place. As you can tell, the books are not all completely unpacked, but we will get there. And I am so excited. So let's see. I would like to let you set the scene a little bit to let you know what we're doing. We're playing Cthulhu Confidential, which is a very narrative game. It's for one player, and that means a couple of things. In other game systems, when there are multiple players, well, things can happen, like characters can die. In this one, your character cannot die till the end, because there's only one of you. And I need to... Where is that? Give me one moment. There is sound happening that I do not want to happen. Let me just do this. Boom. There we go. So, your character cannot die until the end of the adventure, which may or may not make you feel better. It might make you feel worse. It's fine. It's all right. And this is a part of the gumshoe system. It's a special version of the gumshoe system. And in the gumshoe system, all skills are divided into two types: investigative and general abilities. And players will always succeed in investigative abilities if the skill is appropriate. Part of the foundational idea of the gumshoe system is that it is not fun when the investigators who are competent cannot find the clues, right? Like roll to find the clues and fail to do so. And so in this system, you will always find the clues. You will always find all of the information. What you do with the information and what that means is up to you, though, right? So it is your challenge is not to get into the safe. You're going to get into the safe. Your challenge is to figure out what the stuff in this safe means. So that will be part of the challenge. And this particular and we'll learn as we go. It's a very simple system, uses just regular D6s, and like a number of systems like Powered by the Apocalypse, you have like a complete full success, which we call an advance, or a middling, which is a hold, or a setback. And there are no hit points or anything like that. What you get are problem cards or edge cards. And those cards can do things like you're feeling really good, or you've got a friend, or you have equipment, or you're bleeding, you know, whatever you're stressed out. These things are, that's how these things are covered in this game. It's a pretty cool game. It's by Pelgrane Press. And this particular one, Cthulhu Confidential, is set in 1937 in Los Angeles for full noir goodness. 1937 is a difficult time in the world. There are fascism rising in Europe. We're in the middle of the Great Depression, right? So people are hungry. Things are not great. It's sort of messy and rough, and the streets of the city are mean. Los Angeles is a place of hope and dreams, but also of crime, violence. There is much about the world at this moment, 1937, which is not great for a lot of people. And it is in this kind of, this is the sort of the thematic of noir, right? Where noir is about like the griminess, the grittiness, the dirtiness, the sort of the futility of systems, and Call of Cthulhu is about the futility of existence in the face of entities that we cannot even comprehend. And those two tastes are going to be joined together, and we are going to see what happens in an adventure called The Red Mist, starring PumpkinBerry as Phyllis Oakley, a bookseller. So, one of the things I would note, I'd like to ask you a question.
I'm ready.
So you have a bookshop. It's not a particularly big bookshop. It's not a particularly popular bookshop, I suppose is the best way to put it.
That's okay. I carry strange books.
You do.
They're not for everyone.
This is true. Your apartment is above the bookshop, so you live above your bookshop.
Yep.
Now, you do have this bookshop, but that's not really... You acquire books for people, right? I mean, you have a shop, but if people want books or need books, you can get them. You are... You're not one of those people that just like sits at a bookshop, right? You go to estate sales, you go to auctions, you scour to get really obscure books, which is interesting to me.
The more obscure, the better.
So, in this particular game, they often come with these sort of pre-generated characters, which are basically just a sort of a person with a job and some skill sets. But who they are really sort of depends on you. And one of the things, one of the first choices that a player has to make is, what is your continuity problem? And continuity problems are problems that always stay with you between adventures. And you have an option of 4 different problems. Books don't pay the bills, strange fascination, waifs and strays, and nightmares.
So I will be taking strange fascination. Problem number 2.
Will you read that out? And let me know what that's about?
Absolutely. You can apprehend dimly the hidden connections between seemingly disassociated events. There are clues in every book that imply the existence of invisible cosmic forces that warp the destiny of humanity, the same way the moon affects the tides. You feel driven to investigate strange events, to press on, even though you know that only horror awaits you.
Well, that's an interesting problem. May I ask this question? Did you have this problem before you became a bookseller or after?
Before.
When did this start?
When I was maybe 4 or 5.
Why?
I think I saw something that no one else saw.
Oh, really?
Yep. I think I spoke to someone or something. And I didn't realize that that someone or something wasn't something nobody else saw until much later. Like, I made a comment and my mom was like, "What are you talking about?" And then I slowly started to understand that they didn't see this thing. And then when I realized that that thing wasn't supposed to be seen, I never saw it again.
Interesting. How often did you see this thing?
I would say fairly regularly, not like every day. It's not like it was a friend per se, but I think it was just a thing that I maybe saw and walked up to, said hello, because I was really young. So probably just interacted with, like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" or that kind of thing.
Was it a person? What was this thing?
I think I don't remember.
Oh, interesting.
I think sometimes when I think about it, it's a person, like a young kid, and other times it's a dog.
What does the dog look like, or what did it look like that you can remember?
Very shaggy fur, hunched over, almost always lifted up, not quite resting down fully on the hind legs. So almost always ready to pounce. And I remember the eyes were green, and that was weird.
Did the kid also have green eyes? Did you feel safe? What kind of feeling did you get talking to this thing?
I didn't feel one way or the other, just saying hi to somebody. I never felt in danger. Um, just was curious. Curiosity.
I suppose I should ask. I mean, Los Angeles it's a pretty big city.
Mm-hmm.
Many people from here, many people in Los Angeles are not from Los Angeles. They move here from other places. Is Phyllis from LA or is she from somewhere else?
I am. I think I am not from LA. I think I'm from Northern California, actually. I'm gonna take that back. Yeah.
But you're from California.
Yeah.
How old are you?
How old am I now? Let's go 27. That was the first thing that popped into my head.
Okay. So you were born in 1910.
Young. Still a baby. Yeah. Okay.
All right. So that's interesting, right? So, oh, poor thing. You missed the Roaring Twenties. You know what I mean? Like you didn't get to go and like have like your joy during the Roaring Twenties. You hit your 20s like when the Depression hit. I am so sorry. That was your life. But that's all right. So how did you get into being a bookseller?
Oh, this is easy. So I think I read a lot as a kid, consumed as much fiction as I could, fantasy stories. And that's probably actually what my mom ended up saying about this creature or person, like, oh, you read too many books or you've got your head in the books too much. And I think after I just think I found an odd book, and then I wanted to find the next one in written by the same author, not necessarily a series, because I don't think those were really like, unless they were dime novels, but like just something by the same author. And then maybe I then moved to an autobiography of that author because they were my favorite. And then from that autobiography, I read another autobiography on somebody that author mentioned in their autobiography, and it just spiraled out of control. And I think it was one of those situations where my mom kicked me out when I was and by kick me out, I don't really mean kicked me out, but encouraged me enthusiastically to consider my own place, because my room would be floor to ceiling with books, stacks and stacks of books. And I was never really able to get rid of them. I loved every single one. And at any time my mom picked one up and talked about maybe getting this one because you never read it, I would always have a reason as to why it was important. And, like I might need that one day or something like that. So I think my mom and her sister, my aunt, bought the bookstore.
Oh, nice.
Can
I need this raises some questions.
Yes.
How long have you had this bookstore?
I think since I was 18 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I have more follow-up questions now. Now you've started, so now I have to know these things, and I just need to know them for no particular reason, of course.
Okay.
So you've had this store for 9 years. So you had this store, it looks like, starting in 28, right before the stock market crash happened. Did your family have money?
I assume they would have had to. And maybe it wasn't my family, but it was my aunt. Like, so my mom asked my aunt, her sister, for help, and she did. So they married into it. My aunt married into money.
And of course, it's not a grand bookstore. It's like a small place, so it's may not be.
Oh, it's very tiny. Yeah.
Now, I see from your contacts, you have a couple of contacts who all seem very interesting to me, that one of your contacts is a college friend from your university days. So you went to university. Tell me about that. Where did you go? And where did you go? What did you study?
Berkeley's in California, right?
UC Berkeley.
Yep. Then that's where I went.
And that was the first UC. What did you study?
That is such a good question. Let me think for a second. And I do Russian studies. I know that
Absolutely.
sounds super weird, but that's what popped into my brain for her.
Now,
I think she
yeah.
had a habit of maybe changing her major
Mm-hmm,
multiple times.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I just took classes that interested me at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I would look at the listing and go, well, that seems interesting. And so I would be in that class. So I took pottery, I took philosophy, but I also took obscure things like I can't say typeface, but whatever that would be, advertising.
Lithography.
Yeah, exactly. Those kinds of things, and just really odd stuff. And I think people thought I was very odd.
Interesting. So you're a business owner.
Mm-hmm.
You went to college. Now you are on the West Coast, so it's a little bit different. And UC Berkeley is a public school, and there are lots of women there. You mentioned your mom and your aunt. This is a time period where, I mean, women got the vote in 1920, so it's only been 17 years that women have been allowed to vote. And while there was a lot of sort of progress that was happening in the 20s, there's been a bit of a backlash once the Depression hit. How has it been for you being a businesswoman?
Oh, so incredibly difficult, but I don't care. I think oftentimes people come in and they speak to me as if I am an employee or if I'm just helping. And it bothered me at first, but now I just roll with it. And I say that Mr. Colin runs the shop sometimes. If there's any of those kinds of issues, I just rely on that made up person, and then I just continue on my way. I've never really had to impersonate him or anything, but when I get those difficult people that refuse to work with me, I just defer to, okay, well, I'll ask
Mr. Colin. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's interesting. I'm looking at your character sheet, and you have a really interesting spread of skills that sort of speak to you. Like, think about your switching majors. You have anthropology and art history, right? And cop talk, bargain, evidence collection, history, law, the occult. Like, you've got a lot of really interesting things here. That's fascinating. I'm also looking at your general skills, though. You have things like sense trouble. Okay, that makes sense. Shadowing, which is,
That's because I was always on the outside, pretty much. Everybody thought I was weird, so I got really good at like watching people.
Okay, well, could you explain filch, which is like stealing things off of desks that people and not having people not notice? How
I can explain that. I really can.
Yeah.
Well, because I'm a little odd, so people say, and sometimes when I see a book, I cannot help myself, and they don't deserve that book. That book needs to come home with me, and I will take good care of it, and I will find the proper home for that book. So I pretty much exclusively take books.
And what is this disguise on your character sheet?
Oh, well, that's somewhat easy as well. I like to sometimes dress up, maybe in different clothes, things that normally I wouldn't feel very comfortable in, and just go and sit in a different environment.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I also noticed that you're skilled in fighting. I just stealth, shadowing. Cousin. Yeah. Oh, okay. Sure.
Yeah, we fought a lot.
Okay. I see. There's nothing suspicious at all here. That's wonderful.
Why would you be suspicious of me? I just run a bookstore.
No, I'm sure that's true, and I'm sure you never get into trouble with people at all. 4 a.m. It's 4 a.m.
Right now.
It is. Right now. It is 4 a.m. And I would like to ask you just a couple of really quick questions.
Okay.
4 a.m. Are you in your shop or in your
Yes.
apartment?
I am in my apartment.
Are you awake or are you sleeping?
I am awake.
Why are you awake at 4 in the morning?
Why are you not awake at 4 in the morning?
It's a question I have. What are you doing?
What's wrong with being awake at 4 in the morning?
Well,
I'm reading a book, a lovely book, mind you,
Mhm.
a very captivating book, and I am enjoying a little bit of hot chocolate.
Did you stay up late or wake up early?
I don't think I remember.
I see. Where are you exactly in your apartment?
I am on you're going to have to help me because I don't know what they're called. Those like benches that are in the window.
Oh, yes.
That are kind of like those sitting areas.
Yeah.
I'm right there so that I can look out the window every once in a while. It's dark. Is it this time of year? January?
It is.
Okay, so then there is fog and or steam or whatever on the windows. Every once in a while, I catch my breath on the window because I'm kind of leaning up against it, and I have my hot cocoa, and there's a little bit of snowfall outside,
which is rare in LA. So it's this sort of, and it probably like melts once it hits the ground.
Yes,
that
absolutely.
kind of like it just doesn't stick.
Now, yeah, or like it does that weird thing where you don't hear it. Because normally rain would hit the window. So it's probably like coming down and then you only hear it, the water on the pavement when the tires moving by And
the neighborhood you're in, tell me about this place. It's a place where you have shops, so it's going to be somewhat, it's not a residential place.
No, it's downtown.
Oh gosh, there's some amazing hotels downtown, people coming in and out, but a lot of people don't live downtown. You know what I mean? Like Hollywood's not downtown. It's just kind of a slightly strange space. It's not too far from Skid Row, which is where a lot of the people who are currently homeless are. There are a number of cafeterias, which are sort of an invention of this decade, where they started because people were really poor. So people sort of start these cafeterias. You can come in and all night and eat, get some coffee. And you're in this sort of neighborhood. I would like to ask, could you tell me, you're in this bay window and you're reading this book. I imagine you have like an end table or a table someplace where you put things that's not too far from where you're at.
Sure.
Because you have
actually the windowsill.
The windowsill.
Because the bay windows are the ones that are round, right?
They I think they have like the arches.
I'm thinking of the ones that are flat and they just have like a trunk basically that you sit on. So it's like just a window seat. It's not really necessarily a bay window. So I will store things in that window seat because it lifts up. Or I have a coffee table. That's not too far from me, but it's full of books and I don't know the last time that I knew what was on it.
Let me ask you, do you have anything that is not a book, like a photo or a knickknack or something that you put on display? Do you have some kind of item that is sentimentally important to you?
Yes, I have a few photographs that hang on the wall. My time in university, I have a couple of photographs. I think there was a time period where I became friends with one of the photographers that worked for the paper, the school journal. And they took a few photographs and I kept those because I really liked their work. And there are a few photographs of maybe us or me with what I was doing at the time, whether it was studying or maybe my first big rare book find, something like that is up on the wall as well.
Nice. So I imagine it's sort of nice and it's quiet. You can hear the sounds of the city outside. You can hear a car going by here or there. You probably have, I don't know. You probably have some neon lights, right? It's that kind of time period. We're going to have sort of like neon coming in. So it's not particularly... it's never completely dark, if you know what I mean. And your shop, there's an alley by your shop. where, with like, trash cans and all of that, and people come in and out. Yeah, I imagine.
Yeah, carries.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And before I tell you about the terrible thing that's going to happen right about now, what book are you reading?
Oh, I'm in the middle of reading about something terrible happening in an alley.
Is it fiction?
Is it? You tell me.
It's a good question. I don't know. Who's to say, really? But as you sit there, late at night, you hear this crash outside in the alleyway. It's loud. It sounds something like someone fell against your trash cans. Like maybe somebody could be a drunk, right? I mean, that was
my first thought.
Sure.
That might not startle me just because it's I live downtown. Yeah. Nobody really likes to live here. That's
normal. It's probably just that, like you can hear like the yowling of a cat sort of scramble out of the alley. And maybe you wouldn't think much about it. I don't know. But then there's this voice coming from probably the person that stumbled into the trash cans outside of your shop in the alley. And the voice just yells out with this sort of slightly strange tone to it. Perhaps a bit confused, maybe. It's a little it's like this just sort of strange sound, this voice, very deep, yells out, I received the sacrament in the pit. I am girded with 4 tassels. And then it's all quiet.
Okay. I don't know if I think this man is drunk. I pause. I wait to listen to see if he continues or if it sounds like he's going to leave the alleyway. Also, does this ring a bell to me at all?
Well, that's an interesting question. What kind of skill do you think you'd be drawing upon?
Let's see. Is this my investigative abilities?
Oh, yes.
Okay. The occult, please.
Oh. Now, see, I'm going to say something about that. I should say something about skills for you. Okay. Investigative skills are interesting because they sort of do 2 things. On the one hand, you can use them to actually get information, right? Like, is there anything occult about what this is saying? But also, they would allow you to know things like who's who in the occult world, or if there's any news in the occult world. It's not just like if you have the chemistry skill, you not only can you do chemistry, you can also know like who important chemists are, right? So like they're quite expansive, these skills. When you think about occult, you've had a lot of occult books, I assume.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yes. When you think about it, it does ring a bell. It's weirdly familiar somehow. Would you like to spend a push? You have 4 of them, which are, in this moment, represented by vintage LA subway tokens.
Okay. Yes, I would. How do I get them back?
You get pushes back if you make the number you need for a general test and you still have dice left over.
Got it. Okay. Yes, I will spend one.
So I would like to know how you know about Mithraic cults from ancient Rome.
Anthropology and art history. Those are both abilities that I have, and those are things I studied in school.
Yeah, but Mithraic cults are pretty strange, don't you think? And you recall a couple of books, yeah?
Yeah, but I'm also strange. And you know how I get, which is when I'm reading something and I go, oh, that's weird. I wonder why that is. And then I go into the next thing and I'm pulling in. And by, an hour into the assignment, I'm way off assignment and I'm reading about something else entirely because I just find it interesting.
Yeah. It's weird.
That's how I found out about it.
It's weird because you remember those phrases in a book. And you spent a push. I'm going to get rid of one of those pushes from you. Just get rid of it. Boom. It was a book that I think somebody hired you to get.
Ooh, okay.
And you got a book for someone. It had to do with Mithraic cults. And you kind of browsed through it briefly before you handed it over, and it had those phrases in it, which, yeah, there was this sort of strange book about ancient Roman cults to Mithras, and in the rituals, it was written by an anthropologist. There was some describing of these sort of rituals that would have happened. And in the description, those lines were written in that book. It's a fairly obscure book. It took you quite a while to get it for the person who hired it, who paid handsomely.
Do I remember who paid handsomely?
You do. A woman, an anthropologist, Angela Lake. She used to teach at UCLA. She
smokes too much.
She does. She doesn't teach there anymore.
Do we know why?
Well, yeah. She does. There was some kind of a scandal that happened. Your friend, your university friend who's a doctor?
Mm-hmm.
Does she?
Now.
She's a doctor now.
At the time.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Does she teach at UCLA, or is she a doctor in private practice?
No, she teaches now.
Oh, that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
So you probably
sometimes I go and see her. Not as much lately anymore as I used to, but
you probably heard it from her. It was a big scandal. One of her students was murdered by a fellow classmate. Dr. Lake was not implicated, right? I mean, she was not involved in this murder. It just happened, it was a murder between two of her students. But there were some rumors that, some people are very judgmental. That's what she would say. She has some very interesting philosophies as an anthropologist. She has some very interesting ideas about what she teaches about civilization and how civilization is...
of course.
A myth, you know what I mean? Like it's a fantasy. And that we each all have sort of like primal selves underneath. She has all these sort of ideas. And she really has taught in her classes that civilization and morality are illusions, and that humans would be happier if they could just cast away these delusions they have and embraced their true primal nature, as hunter-gatherers.
I remember her class now. I think I took one and I quit halfway through the semester because I didn't like her lectures.
Yeah, it was kind of a weird vibe. Like, she, this whole idea of like morality being an illusion and like going back to the hunter-gatherer society, it had been the students in this class, one student murdered the other, and the talk was that she was teaching moral degeneracy, right? That her teachings were inappropriate for the university. That maybe if she had different ideas, this would not have happened. So she left.
I can digest a lot of different ideas. I didn't agree with hers, but it makes me sad she lost her job over that.
Yeah. She lives in a townhouse now, a pretty nice townhouse.
Oh, okay.
And she keeps doing, as far as you know, well, you do know this because she hired you to get this book. She's continuing to do her research. It's privately funded. There are a bunch of philanthropists who fund her so she can go traveling to different places and continue her research about the primal nature of humanity. And she came to you and asked for you to acquire a book for her.
Okay.
And the book was called Mystery Cult Practices in the Western... Mithraic Mystery Cult Practices in the Western Empire. That was the book. It was a very rare book, very hard to come by. And she wanted this because she's really sort of trying to think about, like, ancient Rome and, like, the vital primal self, how we are when we don't have society, you know, this sort of these sorts of things. And she got this book...
Is this before or after?
After.
The incident.
After
okay.
After she had already left university, she reached out to you. She remember you being in her class. And
can we say she walked into my shop?
Yes, we can. Okay. Yes, we can.
I think she just wandered into my shop, and we had a moment where it was like, you look familiar, and I can't quite place you. And then we did the following back. Where do you work? And until we remembered.
I would like you to make a test.
Okay.
This is going to be a cool test. Because if you got the book for her, I want to know how that all worked out in the end.
Okay.
So you have a score. You have either 1 or 2 for your cool. You have a 2 in cool, which means you are a particularly cool customer. You're very able to sort of keep your composure. And this is to find out what that relationship was like, how you got this book.
Okay.
Your number to advance is a 9.
And I'm rolling
1d6.
1d6.
You have 2,
twice?
but roll 1 first, just 1 at a time.
Okay. 6.
I actually want to turn
and
on...
a 5.
Oh, okay. All right.
I believe that means...
Yes. I would like to... Yes, I'm in... Would you do me a favor? Would you enable your 3D dice so that our peeps can see it when you roll your dice?
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Where do I do that?
That's in the settings, that little... Under dice options. They've changed their...
Yep, they've changed everything.
They have.
It looks nice, though.
Right, it does. It's very nice. So you
dice
get
options. Got it.
You
3D.
get an 11. Now this is an advance. Now I will note for people who don't know, there is another number which is a secret number which I will not share. I will share now, and that number was a 5. If you got 5 or more, 5 to 8 is a hold, which means you would have it's kind of like a partial success. But if she made over a 9, which means she advances. Now. She didn't know the whole number was a 5 because that's a secret. It's the uncertainty of life. But you make this advance. So, you got her a good deal on this book. So not only did you get this book for her, you got a really good deal, and you parted on good terms. She liked you. You did leave the class, but everything that happened, you getting the book for her, was like it worked out really well. She was very pleased with what happened. There are only 2 copies of that book in Los Angeles. One is the one that she has, and the other is a copy in the library, which is not complete. It's like basically pretty broken as far as you know, like it's been like injured.
I swapped them. The one in the library was complete, and the one that I got was not complete, and I used my filch ability to swap them out.
Ooh. So that's how you got such a good deal, because you bought like a pretty busted up version of that book for much cheaper, and you swapped it. That's very nice. So, because you advance, this does mean that you get an edge card. Let me get that for you. Hello. Your edge. Would you read this out, if you wouldn't mind?
I don't mind at all. Lake remembers you. Hold on, it's hard for me to... Dr. Lake owes you a favor for finding that book for her. Now it's time to call it in. Discard this card to get a free interpersonal push when talking to Dr. Lake.
So you swap that out. That's so interesting. And this very rare book about ancient Mithraic cult practices, mystery cult practices from the ancient Roman Empire, which there are only 2 copies, one of which is only partial, and one of which is owned by this anthropologist, Dr. Angela Lake. Someone outside who seems to be quite anguished, or who knows what, quoted a passage from this book.
Well, considering this history, I will definitely put my book down and go inspect it. I think what I'd like to do is peek out the window first. Because, I mean, while I am very curious, I am still very cautious. It is 4 a.m. after all.
It is. It is 4 a.m, and you peek out. I imagine your window is sort of like out there overlooking. You can see the alley in there. And you see a man face down.
Oh, no. Is there blood? That would be the first thing I'd look for.
It's dark. You can't really see. He's in the alley. The lighting is not so good. But he's lying face down in this alley, and he is big.
What does it smell like?
You're on the 2nd floor. You can't hear. You can't smell it. You just smell this sort of garbage. He doesn't seem to be moving. Maybe a little twitch. But when I say he's big, I mean he is quite large. Like, he's broad-shouldered, you can tell. He also seems to be wearing not enough clothing. He seems to be wearing like a, from what you can tell, like you see like a white dress shirt, some pants, but he's face down. You can't see much more than that.
Okay.
And then he thrashes a bit on the ground. He sort of like, as if there's like a convulsion or a fit of some sort.
I can't tear my eyes away.
And he grips the ground and sort of tries to, like, I don't know. He's gripping the ground and he smears his hands left and right. And he himself is sort of in shadow. But, like, his hand, his right hand that is just smearing the ground. You can see it as it smears, as he touches the pavement. It hits a little bit of the light from your window as he makes this gesture. And as he sort of moves his hand back, you can see a trail of something dark and slick in the sort of snow that is immediately melting.
I will chastise myself for this later, but I think I'm too shocked to move. And I'm just watching this unfold.
And you can
What is he writing?
muttering.
Is he writing something?
No. It seems like he's trying to stay grounded in this place. As if he wants to stay here on the ground and not be pulled away. As if he's afraid that he'd be... You know when little kids grab onto something because they don't want to have to leave someplace? Mm-hmm. It's like that, but there's no purchase on the ground. It's just the ground, and he's trying to grip into this
I will
concrete.
run outside at that point.
make your way down out the back door.
Mm-hmm.
And he's lying there. And when you get down to the street level, not that far from him, you can hear like a guttural growl in his throat that seems to catch with maybe tears. And it's and he shivers a little bit, even though it's not that cold. January in Los Angeles, when it's cold for Los Angeles, it's probably like 55.
It's cold for me.
Yeah. And you can see that he's just wearing a dress shirt. That is, he's not wearing a jacket or a coat of any sort.
Strange.
And the shirt is too small for him. You can see its seams busting. It seems like a shirt of a much smaller person. And this guy is like built like a bull. Massive hands. And down here you can see that they're covered in blood. And he jerks. No.
Not towards me.
No.
I'll back up.
On the ground, he jerks.
Okay.
And he starts moaning.
Sir?
Miss. And he starts shaking like this. And he kind of like curls up.
You want me to call an ambulance?
And he gets to his knees and he curls up and he starts cradling and rocking himself. And you see his knuckles are all bruised and covered in blood. And his face is covered in bruises, fresh bruises. There's a cut on his eyebrow, and it's bleeding, and his other eye is just swollen shut. His nose looks to be broken, and it's bleeding, and his knuckles are raw and bloody. And there's bruises. He sort of winces a little bit as if maybe there's something, his rib might be bruised or broken.
I don't know why, but I lean forward and I say, "You don't belong here, do you?"
He can't seem to hear you in his distress. He might have heard something. And he starts to look panicked in his eyes. He starts to look like maybe something is wrong. He doesn't quite see you. And you can see him looking around. And you're not quite certain he sees where he is. Right? This alley is not that wide. Right? And you know the contours of the walls. And as he looks, it's like he's looking as if he's in a different kind of a place, but still a place that seems constrained. And he starts speaking again. You have the languages skill, yes?
I do.
He starts muttering again about the bull, the tassels. And it occurs to you that some of the things he's muttering are in Latin. He's speaking in English, but also in Latin. But it's, you have theology as well, yes?
Yes.
It's not modern church Latin, it's like ancient Roman. You think it's sort of more from archaeology. It's more sort of ancient Roman. He sort of mutters in, as if
Makes
almost
sense,
his words aren't his own.
The book it's from. That makes sense to me.
Except the book didn't have any Latin in it. It was all written in English. But
yeah, but I mean, the book was from the same time period, right?
Yes.
And around the same subject matter, and he
Yes.
said a line earlier from the book. So I think I understand something's missing here, but that is I believe, my problem number 2. I can apprehend dimly the hidden connections between.
Yeah. But
okay.
it's weird how he would get some of the phrases from an ancient ritual in Latin.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The man has a weathered face. Like he's been out in the sun a lot in his life, you know? He looks to be...
Wrinkled?
Yes. Mid-40s, but like a hard 40s. Somebody who's worked hard a lot in his life.
He's got a scar on his left brow.
He does. It's hard to see with all the bruises that something... He's been in some kind of a fight, probably. And he starts looking to panic. And it looks like he starts stumbling up. He gets up onto his feet. And he towers over you. How tall is Phyllis?
5'7".
He's like 6'3".
Okay.
And he's muscular. You can tell that he is like dense, thick, ropey muscles. Not like a bodybuilder, which is like a new fad right now where it's all meant to look pretty, but like muscles that come from lifting heavy things. But he's massive, and he's beginning to look panicked and trapped, as if the walls are closing in on him. And he looks like he might try to run again.
Towards me?
Away, whatever that means to him. And he begins to hyperventilate. And
I start breathing very loudly next to him, slowly. I learned that once, that if someone is hyperventilating or having a panic attack, if I start breathing very loudly, they will unconsciously try to match my breathing. So I try to do that, although it's probably not going to help.
Would you like to spend a reassurance push? It will calm him down and bring him back to here.
Yes.
You breathe loudly. And at first, his hyperventilation, he doesn't hear you. He mutters in Latin, and he says something about the walls. The walls. Walls. I don't know. And he reaches out to touch one of these walls, but it's not a wall that's there. And then, slowly, his breathing matches your breathing. And he sort of looks, and he sees you, and he sees where he is. And he looks exhausted.
Hi.
Yeah.
You're really tall.
He looks down at you for a moment, and he looks at his hands, his face. He looks scared.
Where are you? Do you know?
And he reaches into the pocket of this shirt he's wearing. It has a monogram on it.
What's the monogram? What's the letter?
A.
Got it.
It's 2 letters. A-Y in a fancy script, it's like cursive. It's very finely embroidered. The shirt itself is just falling off of him, and he reaches into the pocket and he pulls out a slip of paper. And he hands it to you.
What's this, Ben?
It's a slip of paper with beautiful handwriting on it. And the paper itself is cream, good quality. And it has got 2 things on it. It has an address. Your address.
Oh.
And the title of a book.
Oh.
Mithraic Mystery Cults of the Western Empire. And he says, here? And he just points to the address. I'm here?
I nod blankly.
Oh.
Still amazed at what is happening right now.
Oh.
Don't cry. And I think I will kind of reach out, maybe. I hesitate because I don't really understand that. I don't really have a lot of contact with people. So I think I hesitate and I leave my hand maybe about a foot away from him. Are you looking for this book?
You hear a police siren in the distance. Maybe somebody laughing, coming out of a bar. Bar's long shut down, so maybe from a diner, perhaps. And he just says, the blood. The blood. I have to go. It's eating. It's eating me. I can't find its way out. And it's eating me.
I recoil back when he digs his fingernails into his cheeks and starts pulling on his skin. I back up.
The dying bull.
Dying bull? What dying bull?
The blood.
What have you done?
And he looks panicked again, as if it's not safe out here in the alley. And he doesn't know what to do. He looks over his shoulder as if he's being chased. And he has like a little crew cut, you know, but that scar on his temple sort of goes into his hairline, and the hair doesn't really grow there, and it's quite short and a little matted with blood at the moment. A little salt and pepper coming in. He's very tan, weathered. He's got sort of hazel eyes. His nose has clearly been broken multiple times, and his hands are calloused, and his pants are they fit well. They're sort of work, like dockers, like work pants.
Yeah.
And he starts looking as if he's being chased, and he looks like it's not safe. And he steps behind you as if you might keep him safe from whatever it is. And he kind of shrinks a little bit smaller behind you, just sort of crouches a bit.
Well, I don't care how much you crouch. He's huge. He can't hide behind me. What are you hiding from?
It's not safe. I can't get out of here. I don't know how to get out.
Get out of where?
Do you see the mist?
I don't see what you see.
Oh.
But I believe it's there. So you just tell me what I need to do to keep you safe, and I'll try.
Get me out of here.
Where's here? Just this alleyway?
I didn't mean to do it. I didn't mean to do it. And he falls down to one knee.
I will help lift him up, and I immediately just start ushering us out of the alleyway. I've forgotten my coat, and I regret this later.
You take him into your shop? That's the door goes into the shop. Do you keep him in the shop or you take him upstairs?
I'm not taking a strange man up into my house.
Where do you put him in your shop?
I wasn't actually going to put him in my shop. I was going to head the two of us to one of the cafeterias.
So you start walking down the street and you're with this man who's covered in blood.
Mm-hmm.
On the streets. There's a small cafeteria. Dexter's. Huge picture windows. They all have these big, huge picture windows with a little sort of counter in the cafeteria line. There are people there.
I usher him quickly to the bathroom.
And when you walk in, the people who are at this cafeteria, you have, people who walk the streets at night.
Mm-hmm.
People who are up at 4:30 in the morning. Gamblers, prostitutes, all sorts of people, homeless, destitute. Somebody who wants to be a writer or an actor. People who don't really have a place to sleep. And Dexter, dressed all in white with a little cap, sees you. Do you know Dexter? Do you come here often?
I think I do, actually.
And he sees you and goes, oh. And Dexter is very thin. Wireframe glasses. He's this sharp uniform. Everything's very pressed. The uniform's not new, but it's starched. And he's older than he looks. You think he's probably in his 50s. And he sort of waves at you when you sort of come in.
And I just kind of wave back and gesture towards maybe potentially like I've got a drunk friend, and I'll be right back, and take him into the bathroom. I'll buy something, I say, because I know that sometimes that's the polite thing to do, I think.
And you pass by this sort of case of meatloaf, pie, potato, peas, right? All these little dishes, right? And the little tray that you would sort of take the things that you wanted. And people look up at you. And some of them have lost eyes, like their dreams have been broken. Drinking coffee.
That's because they have been. Dreams, I mean.
And you move this man who could probably break you in 14 pieces without trying. And he seems so delicate, fragile. As you lead him to this vulnerable to this bathroom. That's got the little cloth, right? And it's got the little light, fluorescent light. It's been cleaned, but it still smells of antiseptic and urine.
I don't like it in here, but I'm trying. I'm gonna turn on the water, and I'm trying to clean him up. Is he bleeding from a wound? Or is there just blood on him?
It's a little bit of both. He has some wounds on him, but not as much.
But not enough for this much blood?
Yes.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
If you have evidence collection, yes? As a skill?
Let me look. Yes, I do.
The pants he's wearing are cheap. They're cheap pants.
Of course, I mean, not of course, but he's clearly works in a warehouse or a dock. He's a loader of some sort or does manual labor. So I
What do you know about the docks?
I know that sometimes I have gone down there to pick up a rare book because they won't deliver it to me.
Do you know the docks well? Have you been there multiple times?
I've been there multiple times, but I don't like it there for some reason.
So you know the look of people who work there?
Yes.
He has that look.
Okay.
He has the look, the smell of a sailor. Of some sort.
Okay.
But the shirt is expensive. The shirt that had the note in it with your address. It's very expensive. And at least 3 sizes too small for him. And his knuckles are bruised. He's got bruises on his face and side. But his knuckles are bruised and swollen as if he's been beating something.
Something. Or someone.
Or someone. And he says, I didn't mean to do it.
Have you hurt someone?
I didn't mean to. I couldn't see. I just saw red. I just saw red and
AY? Did you hurt AY?
Yes. And he was all red. He was red and I'm in trouble.
You're okay.
No.
You're not in trouble.
No, you don't understand. McRory.
Okay, what?
McRory. He's gonna get me. He's gonna kill me. He's gonna get me. I wasn't supposed to. I was supposed to take the fall, and I was supposed to take a fall, and I was supposed to. And then it was just all red.
I try to reach out again, and again, I'm uncomfortable, too uncomfortable to actually touch this man. And I say, were you fighting? Is this a paid fight?
Yes.
You were supposed to throw the fight?
Yes. And I was going to. The bull. The bull. And then it's not horns. The bull doesn't have horns. It's shapeless. It's losing its shape. It's chasing me.
Okay, shh. Not so loud.
I can't. He'll kill me.
Well, he has to find you first.
And he slumps against the wall. He slumps to the ground.
I will start cleaning his knuckles. And I kind of wait for him to calm down.
And he mutters again in Latin.
Do I recognize it?
It's these snippets of a ritual that was in that book.
But the ritual wasn't in Latin.
No, it wasn't.
So I do understand.
Described in English.
Oh. I'm so curious, but also so scared.
It's going to eat
What is the ritual about that I remember? Described in English. Is it about a bull?
It is. Well, the cults themselves, the Mithraic cults, you have the occult skill.
Mm-hmm.
They were a cult to Mithras, ancient gladiators. They would follow and worship Mithras. It was a. The book was about like a side, like an offshoot cult that happened around the 4th century. Not one that was one of the main ones, but like a smaller one that sort of cropped up out of nowhere. That was, I think it was outlawed, really, at one point. It was, if you remember, there was about the Roman army. That cult was very popular with them. And it was said that Mithras the god was born from a rock. That's how the myth went. But if you were in the cult, there were these different levels of initiation. And if you remember, one of the book was by Frederick Matthews, you think. And the cult itself, one of the key things about the cult of Mithras was the ritual sacrifice of a bull.
Killing the sacred bull.
Yes.
I remember that carved rock in the museum.
Now, the author of the book said there was little evidence they actually sacrificed a real bull. Now, the cult of Magna Mater, the Great Mother, they would actually sacrifice bulls. But it seemed the author felt that perhaps the bull sacrifice was metaphorical, or some sort of metaphorical retelling of a foundational myth, perhaps. But the author in this book talked about this divergent strain of the cult of Mithras that arose just before the cult was suppressed by the Emperor Theodosius in the 4th century. And this divergent cult used physical pain and grueling ordeals to attain mystical insights. And you remember the author writing in this book, because I assume you read it a bit before you handed it over to Dr. Lake. I imagine you would have.
I think I have an intrusive thought about killing this man, just for a second, and it scares me a lot.
You remember that this cult was said to enter into the deep places of the earth, of the red caves, and these were the sacred places to this cult. These deep underground places. But there was something else about this book that you remember, something very important. And that was about the bad copy you had. The copy you had, you remember it looked like somebody took a knife to it and carved the book up with a knife, with deep cuts gouging into the cover, like somebody was stabbing the book over and over again. And many of the pages were ripped out violently.
I think in this intrusive thought, I'm doing that. I think I am stabbing this book with this very strange knife that I haven't seen before. There's no real handle on it. It's kind of like a weird triangle.
And the book bleeds in your vision.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Red.
And then I stab this man right in the rib cage in this intrusive thought. Not really.
You feel powerful.
Mm-hmm.
You feel as if you have secret knowledge in this sacrifice of this bull of a man.
I stumble back and I stop cleaning his knuckles.
And you remember one thing about this book. Many parts of the book have been ripped out. Sections are missing, large sections, just ripped out pieces. Except one plate. You know those books they spend that, like, they have those really expensive plates with beautiful images.
Mm-hmm.
One plate was missing, but not ripped out, clearly cut out with a precise and delicate hand. And it was the plate that described something very important. Something that was referred to in this book multiple times. The labyrinthine symbol. There was a symbol, an important symbol, the labyrinth, that was very important to this cult. And that symbol that was drawn in that, it was in this plate, was cut out specifically.
I cannot help but wonder if there's a connection between this cult and the labyrinth and the minotaur and the red thread.
And you can hear mumbling and muttering about red. It's all red.
Ariadne?
It's all red. E. Chased, I can't. It can't get out. It can't get out. It's not a bull. He mutters again, and you can see him falling a little bit. The book that you gave Angela Lake, the one that you stole, swapped, that one had the plate in it. With the symbol, the labyrinth. And
I am seeing me now in a white dress going through a labyrinth, trying to follow a red thread through. This man is no longer a man. He is a minotaur. And I don't see him. I hear him. But I know, kind of like a dream, you know, when you just know things have changed. And someone is hunting him. I forget the myth right now. I can't recall. I think it's my lover.
The labyrinth you're in has fog on the ground. Like when they use dry ice in a movie. But the fog is thick, but it's red. And it slides across the ground of this labyrinth. And you can hear him, this man, this minotaur. This bull. And you hear him crying. And you hear something else. It's sound. The sound is deep. It's coming from below. Below. And it is. Something worse than the Minotaur. And it is perhaps behind you. And you hear the sound. Flesh cracking. Sinews snapping. Maybe a cheer from a crowd. And then something eating, devouring something.
can't turn around.
You hear the man, the bull, the minotaur. And he says, so much blood. And he gets up and he goes, McRory. And he looks at you again and he blinks and he sees you. And he puts a finger out and touches you like right here to see if you're real.
I stare at him.
He looks at his hands and they're clean. He looks at himself.
He's gonna kill you.
And he looks around and he pulls like a napkin and he reaches into his pocket, he pulls out a pen and he goes to the counter where the mirror is and he starts to write on this napkin. It's like paper towel. And it's like he sticks his tongue out as he writes, as if he's doing something grounding and polite. And he writes and he holds the pen like this, you know, kind of an awkward hand, and he writes, and then he folds up this paper towel and he hands it to you. And then he opens the door and walks out.
I look down at the whatever this is. What does it say?
It's a note. The handwriting is cramped and almost childlike. And it's all block letters. Awkward. And it says, I am very sorry for the trouble, which is misspelled, I put you to, and for the mess I made. I did not see, and that's crossed out. I don't know why I came to you, but thank you very much for your kindness. M. Drummer.
I chuckle because, of course, it's a red pen. And then I fold up the napkin and I step out. Do I recognize the name M. Drummer? I assume I don't.
Well, that's interesting. Do you have streetwise? Or would you have another skill you think that might enable you to know those things?
I like to dress up sometimes and sit in places and watch people.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't like the docks. And I don't go there very often. So, unless Mr. Drummer has gone elsewhere, maybe to get food or lunch, then I don't think I would.
Now, you do have streetwise, yes?
I do.
That means you know what's happening in the neighborhood and around. Drummer. It's not a name you know.
I probably know his fight name.
But you know a different name.
Mm-hmm.
You know the name McRory.
Rory.
McRory. Said he was...
McRory. Oh, Irish fella. Tall?
Yes.
Balding?
Yes.
Yes.
Bookie.
He is, very scary, very
Yes, he
dangerous.
is.
You see him, you go the other way.
Leon McRory came over from Ireland. They said it was because troubles back in Ireland. Crooked criminal. He is a bookmaker. Does bets. Dangerous. You don't want to cross him.
Yeah, there's an underground fighting ring, right?
Yes. He runs one. You don't know where it is. You might be able to find out. But you know that he runs an underground fighting ring. Boxers. He makes a lot of money. And if this man, Drummer, was supposed to take a fall, well, McCrory spent a lot of money. And if he didn't, that means McCrory lost.
A lot of money.
A lot of money.
I don't know if I was referring to whatever this feeling is inside about something underneath the ground coming to consume this bull man, or if I meant McRory. Later, I think I convinced myself that I mean McRory. Both are equally possible.
You know, now that you think about it, you did hear a rumor. No, maybe I shouldn't tell you. It was a joke somebody made about the underground fighting ring. You don't want to know.
I think it comes to my mind now.
Somebody in the cafeteria joked that the underground fighting ring was underground. They thought that was funny.
Like actually underground.
Yeah. It was literal. And there was some argument about literal versus figurative. There were these two people. And it was like, no, literally, it's underground. They're like, no, that you mean figuratively. And he's like, no, I mean literally. It's actually...
I remember this argument. It was over the coffee shop, and they got really loud.
Yeah.
And then one of them ended up slamming their fists on the table, and it startled me. Yeah. And I stopped reading my book, and that's why I remember it.
Yes. McRory's a violent man. What do you do? This man is gone. Drummer. Did they call him... What was his name? His fighting name? Well, you wouldn't know it, but if you'd heard it, you might be able to guess.
Mm-hmm.
But...
Something about... It was the opposite.
Right.
You know, like he's very large, and so his name was weird, funny, ironic.
Tiny, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that wasn't it. You remember now. It was the little drummer boy.
That's right.
That's what it was.
Mm-hmm. How could I forget? Easy.
It must have been him. When you walk out into the cafeteria, Dexter goes, do you want the same? As always?
I smile broadly. Yes, please, Dexter. Thank you.
How do you take... What is your regular? Is it coffee? Is it tea?
Coffee. I like a lot of cream. No sugar.
He pulls up this cup of coffee, and he sits it at the counter. And he smiles, and he's missing 2 teeth. And he steps over to the cafeteria rack, and he pulls out a dessert. And he slides it over to you.
My eyes light up. I love cheesecake.
And he's just sort of... he looks at you for a moment. And he looks a little distressed. He says, "You're not wearing your coat."
Oh, yeah. I left in a hurry. I'll be okay, though. I'm going right back home.
No book?
I think for the first time in a long while, I have forgotten. I was so preoccupied by this that I wasn't thinking about a book. Oh, no, not today.
You
I just came for a
look
quick
weird
coffee.
without a book.
Don't worry, it probably won't happen again. And then I pay and leave a generous tip.
Oh, yeah, quarter.
Yes.
Let me ask you a question. Do you go home?
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you a question.
Please.
Do I feel like going home? Which sounds like it would be a question for me, but for some reason, I feel like it's a question for you.
There might be something there. He came...
At the docks?
No, at your home.
Oh.
The message...
Okay.
There was a note with your address in that book.
Yeah. Well, I don't have that copy anymore. The library has it, and Miss Lake has it. Why did he have my address?
It's not the same handwriting. The handwriting of the note and the handwriting of the thank you note that he wrote are different. Night and day.
Do I recognize it as Miss Lake's? She was my professor after all. Although it was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago, but of course she would have written messages. No, it is not hers. But
who knows I have that book?
It's a good question.
Or had that book.
I have a question. What skill might you use to tell things about people based on their handwriting? Do you have a skill that you think would be relevant for that?
Cop talk, art history, anthropology.
Maybe art history?
Yeah.
Yeah?
We'll go with art history. It was either art history or anthropology. I'm sure there was some obscure class on handwriting and classes and something like that that I took.
It's weird that you asked if it was Dr. Lake's handwriting, because it's not. But...
Is it mine?
It's not yours.
Oh, okay.
But...
I panicked for a second.
Dr. Lake had this weird affectation when she wrote. It was this thing that she did with her T's. It's kind of a little weird thing. She kind of wrote them a little bit differently than a lot of people did. You know, you're writing your T.
You're up like really high. They're up too high?
Yeah, they're up too high, and the bar is like kind of short, and at the top, it's almost like a capital print T in cursive, but it's not. And you've never seen anyone else do that T before. This person has copied that T. It's not the same handwriting, it's not the same person, but whoever it is has the same T as Dr. Lake.
Okay. Forgery, perhaps, or relative?
Maybe, or influence? Perhaps?
Oh, yes. A fan.
A fan?
Student?
A student, perhaps? Do you remember when you were in her classroom and she'd write on the chalkboard?
Mm-hmm.
And her T...
Of course. It was always so slow and scratchy and loud.
And her T's always stood up because they were taller than the other letters, you know? It's always this kind of weird thing.
Thought it was an L at first.
Yeah, because it was so tall.
Mm-hmm.
There were students sometimes who would copy that T. Her students. Not all of them, but ones who are very, very invested in Dr. Lake, her theories, to sort of impress her, you know? That way that you kind of mirror people when you want to be like them, or...
Yeah.
This has that tea, her tea.
Mm.
On this note, in this large man's, well, a shirt that does not belong to that large man, whose initials are definitely not A-Y, but M.D. With your address in that book. He didn't know why he came to your shop. Why did he?
That's a very good question. I assumed to look for this book, but I don't have it anymore.
No.
Maybe they want another copy?
Maybe.
Maybe they want to find the one that I sold and who I sold it to.
Maybe.
But that seems unlikely because it's written in the handwriting that seems to idolize Miss Lake. Maybe they're trying to get it for Miss Lake. Maybe they don't know she already has it. Maybe she lost her copy. All of these thoughts are running through my mind right now. And then I remember I'm still standing here with my cheesecake and coffee, and I smile and start to walk home.
And Dexter's, you notice now, he's holding a copy of Life magazine that he was about to hand to you because you didn't have anything to read.
Oh. Thanks, Dexter, but I'm in the middle of a really good book at home, so I was just craving cheesecake.
And he smiles. And you notice he has a bit of a bloody nose develops, and he wipes it away.
Oh. Dex, are you all right?
I'm okay. Are you all right?
I'm all right. Do you want my handkerchief?
As you... A drop of blood drops from your nose.
Mine? Oh. Oh, I'm bleeding.
He hands you his cloth. As you have a light, bloody nose. And he looks at you, and he goes, "You look a little feverish."
I touch my forehead.
You're hot.
My cheek and my neck. I'm very hot.
Well. And he goes back, and he comes up with a little cardboard cylinder capped bowl of chicken soup.
Oh.
And he hands it to you.
Oh, thank you. It's very sweet. I should have remembered my code.
Don't get sick.
I'll try. It'll probably be impossible with this soup. To get sick, I mean.
And two working women come in laughing, joking about a John they had, and come in and sort of go down the line to get their breakfast.
I'll see you later, Dex.
He waves at you with a little look of concern.
I leave with my soup, cheesecake, and coffee. Then I head home.
The shop is empty. It seems no one has been here or disturbed it.
Well, that's good.
Seems that way.
I should hope not. Does it feel that way?
It feels...
That is such a strange question to ask, but I feel like when I step in here, although nothing looks different, it feels like someone's been in here.
It feels as if... It feels strange. Maybe not someone, but...
Something's different.
Something's different. Or maybe it's just you who's different.
I sure hope not.
I hope not either. Do you sleep? Do you stay up? It's 5.
I don't think I can sleep after that. I think I have my chicken soup. I put my cheesecake on the counter or refrigerate it, and I have my coffee and my chicken soup, and I cannot stop thinking about this. I write down feverishly in my journal all the things I want to do tomorrow. Find out who he was fighting, see if there's anything in the paper, see if there's anything that maybe Law might know.
You have contacts?
I do.
And I imagine you write through the wee hours into the morning, yeah. Yes?
I don't remember falling asleep.
Roll me stability. To advance is a 9. 2?
2?
Mm-hmm. That's a
1.
3. That is a setback. You don't remember falling asleep, but you dream. You dream of a maze.
The labyrinth.
A labyrinth. It is bathed in red light. And you're being chased by something. Do you remember when you didn't look behind you?
Yes.
In this dream, you don't look behind you. You know it's there, and you run. And you run. And you can't find your way out of this labyrinth. But you know you have to get out.
My breathing is heavy, ragged, my chest is tight, and that pain that you get when you're running too hard and too fast and you can't breathe, that sharp pain that almost feels like a knife in your rib cage, I feel that, and it makes me think of when I thought I was going to stab that bull.
You get a problem card. Racked by nightmares. Would you read it?
You wake up screaming, convinced that something's burrowing out of your skull. If you still have this card at the end of this adventure, and you've got problem number 4, nightmares.
Which you don't.
Which I do not. You go mad. You may counter this by taking time to sit alone, staring into a mirror, and probing your forehead until you've convinced yourself that nothing is trying to hatch from your skull, as if your brain has some loathsome egg.
And you wake screaming.
I knock over what's left of my coffee and soup. No, it was my soup. I finished my coffee, which is why I'm so surprised I fell asleep. My soup spills all over my journal, and I get up and with a sigh and maybe even a bit of a frustrated growl, I try to grab my journal and shake it clean, but obviously I can't. I've already spilled the soup and it has stained the pages, and I don't even know if I can see what I wrote anymore.
I don't think it was the nightmare that woke you up. I think it was the bell. There's someone at the front door of your bookshop.
Oh.
The sun is streaming in
Coming!
Through the window, and somebody is tapping on the glass.
And I go and I answer the door.
In front of you is a woman. She is dressed in very expensive clothes. It's a suit with these shoulder pads, and her hair is perfect. She has got a pearl necklace that looks expensive, pearl earrings. Her hair is perfect. Her makeup is perfect. She has got expensive shoes. Your aunt married into money. You've seen people with a lot of money. She has a lot of money. And a small pillbox hat with a light veil. And she looks at you, and she looks at the shop as if the shop is dirty. And she just walks by you into the shop.
Oh, can I... Hello. Welcome in. Can I help you with something?
Yes. I'm looking for a... Phyllis Oakley?
I hold my hand up and my mouth is agape.
Ah, see. And she looks at your clothes that you have slept in. The state of you. She clearly disapproves.
I feel slightly embarrassed, and then I brush that away.
She is wearing gloves. She wrinkles her nose and she runs her finger along the counter to see if there's dust.
Oh, there is.
And she says,
I don't have time to dust. I'm too busy reading.
It's also a bookshop. Come on. And she looks at you and she says, well, then you are the one that I should speak to. My name is Miss Nancy Yates. I'm here on behalf of my brother.
Like the poet. Oh, sorry. Continue.
Oh, I don't read.
I would assume a woman like you would be very well read.
I find it so dull, reading. I'm here for my brother. There's a slight cruelness about her. Her features are a little bit sharp. Her hair is...
that.
Her hair is... She's a blonde. It's that kind of like Hitchcock blonde, you know? Kind of icy blondness, probably not natural. And she's a little angular. And her eyebrows are harsh. Maybe, like, they might remind you of like a Joan Crawford eyebrows.
I fumble around for a second, and I'm touching my glasses, and I think I say, oh, yes. And I start to make an A sound, because the monogram, if you remember, was AY. And I'm thinking that's who she's looking for. So I'm trying to trick her into revealing the name. That's right. It was Andrew and
Alvin.
Alvin, that's right.
Yes, I'm here on his behalf. He wishes...
And he was picking up a book. Could you remind me the title?
No, he wants... Did you already get it for him? He wanted to hire you to get a book for him.
Oh, that's right. And I think I just ease into the idea that she thinks my place is disorganized, I'm disorganized, and that I am just as dull as this shop, according to her.
Yes.
Oh, right. Right. He did want me to find a book for him. What book was it again? Remind me the title. I have it here somewhere.
And she goes into her purse.
Soup all over my book, and I show her my book. As you can see, like my notes are somewhat damaged. I mean, I'm sure I could find it, but it just might take me a minute.
She opens her little pocketbook and she pulls out this little note, and she unfolds it, and it has the same handwriting. And it says, the address of your shop, your name, Phyllis Oakley, and yes. Mithraic mystery cults in the Western Empire. Yes, this is the book, and you are apparently the woman. And with that, we're going to go on break.
Okay.
Woo! Yeah, we're going to take a little 10-minute break as this very rich woman has come to hire you to get this book. Everyone, go drink water, stretch your legs.
Yes.
We'll be back in 10 minutes to find out what this client wants. Yeah. How you doing, PB?
I love this. I've never done this before where it's just me and a GM. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I love and adore you and I trust you implicitly. And also we yes-anded a fuck ton and it felt so good.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
You know, where it was just serving and serving and serving. I don't know how you in the audience enjoyed it, but I really enjoyed it. So hopefully you did too. I'm going to make another cup of hot cocoa and I hope I don't end this fucking adventure in a labyrinth running for my life.
Well,
it sounds like I might be.
Who knows? That's a good question, isn't it? I mean, maybe it's only metaphorical. Who knows?
We'll find out.
We'll be back in 10. Welcome back, everyone, to the second part of part 1 of The Red Mist, a Cthulhu Confidential adventure starring the amazing PumpkinBerry.
Thank you.
As Phyllis Oakley. I'm really excited for our outros, but before we get to the outros, Phyllis Oakley, bookhound, who has had an eventful evening. Early morning, a boxer showed up at her store, bloody. Seems he was supposed to throw a fight and then didn't, and is probably in trouble with a very dangerous man.
There's no probably. He definitely is.
Yeah, he is. But he was speaking Latin, words from a ritual that was found in a book. He left. He had a lot of strange things going on. And this morning, I should note, he was wearing a shirt with a monogram that said AY. And this morning, a woman shows up at the shop, a Nancy Yates, who wants to hire Phyllis Oakley to get a book. This mysterious book that Phyllis Oakley has already gotten, actually, for her brother. And we will reopen our curtain in this moment as Nancy Yates, exceptionally wealthy woman in a part of town she doesn't like to be in, is talking to our scatterbrained bookseller. Well, you are apparently the person who can get any book whatsoever, and so if you would, I would like to hire you for my brother to get this book. On my brother's behalf.
Oh, of course. That's going to be a little bit tricky because that's a very, very rare book. And there are only so many copies in existence, let alone somewhere nearby. Is he in a hurry?
I think it's quite important. Also, if you don't mind, I would like to keep the Yates family name out of all of this. I feel like hiring you would be useful because you will be the only person dealing with whoever those people are or whatever it is all about, and our name will be kept out of it.
I can do that.
Good. And you're not going to overcharge, are you?
Well, no.
Good.
I charge based on the book, the rarity of the book, how difficult it will be to achieve, and how quickly you want it.
I feel like it would do my brother well for him to get this book that he's gone on about over and over again. So, just, do whatever it is that you do.
$5,000.
That is a lot of money.
Well, I have to knock down every other client in the priority list if you want me to do this one first. And it is a very rare book. And most of the copies aren't full copies. So if you want me to go digging around for a full copy, I mean, you know what? We could just do 3,000 and I could get you a copy that isn't complete. Does he care that it's complete or a couple of pages are missing?
No, he wants a complete copy.
Oh, okay. Then it's going to be $5,000.
I will pay reasonable expenses and market value of this book.
But what about my time?
Well, reasonable
and my expertise.
Is it that difficult of a book to find?
Why don't you go try and find it?
I don't
you let me know.
Things like that.
Tell you what, why don't you go shop around? And then you can come back.
$2,000.
$5,000.
3 for complete. $5,000 is ridiculous. Yes, I think that 3,000 for complete would be well enough for some book.
Well, I'm glad you think that. There's the door. I'm the only one that can get you that book.
I assume you're using your bargain skill for this.
Yes, I am.
Would you like to spend a push?
I don't know if I need this much money. Like, I don't think I should be pushing here because I feel like it's...
Would you like that much money?
Here, actually, I take that back. Mm-hmm. That is PB speaking. Mm-hmm. That is not Phyllis Oakley, mm-hmm. who all she can see is a bigger shop with more books in it. And she absolutely sees this as her one chance to get a fuck ton of money. Mm-hmm. And so she's absolutely going to do it.
Please, spin that push.
I will push.
And then I will give you this edge. I'm going to give you this edge. You have one push left. Would you read this out?
Absolutely. Nancy Yates gave you money in advance. You've got a roll of cash you can use for expenses in the course of your investigation. If you've still got this card in hand at the end of the game, spend it to counter problem 3.
And you could also just
pay the bills.
Use it for money. And she looks at you and she goes into her purse and she pulls out a wad of cash. And she doesn't hand it to you, she puts it on the counter. She goes, well, that'll be an advance. I don't want my brother spending excessive amounts of money. 5,000 it is. All right, so do you need anything from me?
Your brother wrote this?
Yes.
Did he go to Berkeley?
Yes, why?
Just curious.
You can tell she is really angry.
Well, yeah, I just made her pay $5,000.
No? When you mentioned her brother, there was like a flash of anger in her face. Not at you.
Can I? Is there like an equivalent to an insight check?
There is.
Is she stealing this book from her brother?
That would be assess honesty.
Okay. You know? I want to do that. I feel like this bitch wants this book and she doesn't want to give it to her brother.
You're assessing her honesty. She is not being completely honest with you.
Okay.
But you don't think she wants this book or cares about this book.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, you think she probably doesn't even approve of this book.
I think I don't have the social awareness to not say, I don't understand why you're doing this for your brother if you dislike him so much.
And her jaw tightens.
Do you want me to, like, lose the book?
No. I'm here because my brother is unwell at the moment and he can't make the trip himself.
So someone's asking you to go. Your parents, I assume?
No, I thought that if he had this book, it would calm him down.
Is he mad?
No, he's unwell.
Well, you know, we say sick when we mean like physically unwell, and unwell usually means...
What skill are you using trying to get this information from her, by the way?
I think... Ooh, this is tough.
Mm-hmm.
I have a flattery skill, but obviously we're not doing that. But like, I feel like I'm maybe warming up to it with her, where I'm just kind of like, why are you doing this for your brother? And just kind of like, I'm kind of worming my way to maybe kind of being on friendly terms with her, or just like, I can never be on equal footing with this woman, and she will never see me that way. So the only way I think I can get her to open up to me is by just being blunt and being like, well, you clearly don't like this guy. So what's going on?
That doesn't seem like flattery, though.
No, it's not. That seems like honesty, or maybe can I do a general ability?
You could do like reassurance, perhaps, because you know that she's clearly...
Oh yes, let's do that one.
Yeah, she's clearly...
Reassurance that I know, like I know her shtick, or at least I think I do, and I'm trying to...
And you know she's very private. She doesn't want the name out there, right? So she clearly is sort of wanting discretion, right? And she seems to be hesitant to speak in detail about her brother, because she clearly does... Her reputation, her family's reputation is important to her, right? So that seems to be one of the things that's holding her back right now. And she's sort of just like, it's family business. You don't want these things getting out.
No, I know, but you paid me $5,000 to keep it quiet. I mean, I should know what the rumors are so that I can help squash them. Right? What if somebody says something about your brother? I should know how to counter it, right?
Has someone come speaking about him?
Not yet. But if I start looking into this book and this is the stuff he's into, I tell you what, it's a small circle.
Is it?
It's very small, yeah.
Well.
How do you think I knew he went to the university, Berkeley? I knew that just looking at his handwriting. I can tell you exactly what class he took.
She looks very disturbed by this.
Yeah, I bet.
Well, he was beaten last night, and so he can't leave the house. He's at home in bed. He was in some sort of boxing match, and I
don't care, but I make a face of visible disgust because I know she will care. That is gross.
Yes.
And I am now what we call mirroring this woman.
And you can tell she doesn't approve, right? You can tell.
Oh, yeah. I make the same, disgusted, what? Boxing match?
Yes. Can you imagine? A Yates.
Wow. That's very unexpected from an educated man.
Yes, indeed. It's inappropriate. Well.
Very. Why? Is that part of why he's unwell?
He has ideas.
Oh, ideas like in this book?
I don't know. I don't read that sort of a thing.
Yeah. Me either.
Well, I will say.
It just pays the bills, you know.
Well, my bills are paid for. He's been very insistent on getting this book, and he's so agitated, and I worry that he's going to make his injuries worse. He insisted on coming down here and speaking to you to get this book after this match. He said he had to have it, and I told him that I would do it for him if he just stayed in bed.
How long has he been fighting?
Oh, it's not very long. He got into his mind that fighting would make him some sort of man or something get him. I don't know. He's reading. I don't know. But I will tell you what.
Mm-hmm.
The police should be called. That's what I think.
About the fight?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, whoever did this to me was clearly not some sort of regular boxing match. Not that I know much about regular boxing matches, but I assume that what happened to him is not regular.
Oh, yeah, of course not.
I heard things.
What kinds of things?
Well, that the person he was fighting was not even really a regular man, but some sort of beast. Some sort of wild, savage, despicable criminal, or low-born riffraff. That he beat him, almost killed my brother, like mercilessly. Like the bell rang and he kept pummeling him. It took. Well, from what I heard, it took a referee and 3 or 4 people out from the crowd to pull him off of my brother. He just wouldn't stop when the bell rang. And this sort of thing was despicable. It's deplorable. It should be illegal. I mean, that's not even a boxing match. And I don't even know. I don't even think this boxing match was sanctioned by some sort of official body. And whoever that.
Oh, of course not.
No.
Of course not. You know how we could find out?
No. Talk to the chief of police?
Well, you could, but then your name would get into it.
Oh,
we don't want that, right?
No.
Okay.
That would be embarrassing.
Why don't we investigate a different way? Let's find out if your brother paid someone to be in this match.
No. My brother? No, I doubt he would. He's been reading all sorts of things, and he's got in his mind that if he could access some, really he should. Father wants him to go into the family business. He finds the family business is not, what did he say? Primal? He says something about civilization being an illusion, and he doesn't want to work in a civilized way. What does that even mean? What does that even mean?
I make the same gesture of like confusion, and I'm mirroring her again, and I'm like, wow, okay. Well, it's just that usually for these underground fights, very, noble and highborn folks like yourself sometimes will pay to have an experience. And if you follow the money, we can maybe figure out who was responsible for setting it up. And then maybe I can slip that name to the police and keep you out of it entirely.
Oh.
Do you think you could follow the money for me?
Perhaps. I have tried to get it so that my brother doesn't get, and I'm trying to get him cut off. He spends far too much money on his quack friends and whatnot. He's, what do you call them? Spiritualists or whatnot. He's got some sort of quack friend that he keeps giving money to. I'm telling Father that he has to, cut off, really.
Well, who's this friend? Do you know?
I don't know. Some sort of lady doctor, I think.
Dr. Lake.
I don't know. I don't pay that much attention. He just keeps going on about her ideas.
Yeah, got it. And he's probably a little bit obsessed, like almost borderline in love with her.
I think so. And I'm sure she's older. The whole thing is unseemly. I don't want any of this getting out. Because,
scandalous. Absolute atrocious. I'm so sorry that you have to deal with this, that you have to go through this.
The things I have to deal with. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Would you like a tea? It's probably actually not up to your standards, but I would.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I would love a tea. If you would just, I don't know, just get this book for him. He's so invested in it, and then I'm sure he'll get better. His obsessions.
Okay. Well, why don't I start on that right away? And then when you come to pick up the book, I'll have time to have cleaned and gotten some tea that's a little bit fancier, more to your taste.
Thank you. I don't imagine you'd need to see my brother, but he doesn't. If you want to know how, and she looks a little embarrassed.
Okay. I gesture to the shop. Like, come on, look at my shop.
Well, following the money would be easier if he spoke to me more. I made it very clear I disapproved, and so he has not been forthcoming with what he's doing with his money, or shall I say, father's money, which I assume if life were fair, it would be my money. But Alvy is going to go and inherit everything, won't he? But he doesn't even know how to run anything. He doesn't know how to run an oil company, now does he?
Men.
Indeed. Well, you might have to talk to him yourself if you want to know where he boxes and where the money, what all of that was.
Okay.
He won't talk to me, of course.
Got it. And how do I do that?
Well, he's at the estate, of course.
Got it.
In the hills.
Right, because there's only the one.
You could just go to the Yates estate, but if you don't actually know, it's on Mulholland. I'll give you the address. And she writes down, she pulls out like this very.
I'm assuming her handwriting, this is what I've been waiting for. I'm assuming her handwriting is completely different. There's no T. Got it. Just needed to know that she wasn't pulling a fast one on me. Okay, cool.
Not the same as the handwriting on the note. No T. And she writes down
I just wanted to make sure she wasn't like part of the cult and trying to get it from her brother. Yeah. Got it.
It's in the hills, Mulholland Drive, fancy place.
Got it.
And she's like, so this is a lot of money. Please get the book as soon as possible. He's become, ever since the fight last night, I'm sure it was quite a traumatic situation for him, and he's upset.
Awful. What a thing to be upset about.
You know, I've heard about people of a higher class sometimes wanting to run off to Spain and fight bulls or whatnot, and all of that sort of a thing, but I never thought it would happen to, somebody in my family.
It's so funny that you say that. Has your brother talked about fighting a bull?
Oh, well, it's the whole... You know these things. I don't know the name of the author. There's some sort of, I don't know what his name is. Do you... Oh, my...
Do I know what she's trying to say?
Probably Hemingway.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Hemingway, yes.
Yes, I think he seems to be obsessed. He was obsessed with that man who, I don't know. It's all unseemly. I don't like it. I just want him to settle down. Well, yeah, some sort of thing about Spain and bull ring fighting and, I don't know, Hemingway. And now he's all obsessed with, I don't know, getting to the core of who he is underneath all the artifice of civilization and society and uncovering the, I don't know, the deep something with the inside. I don't know. It's ridiculous. Well, I say, just give me the book so I can give it to my brother so he can just shut up. It'll probably calm him down and then he can come back to business, I suppose.
But you don't even want him to come back to business.
No, I don't, but, well, it's not...
He is your brother, after all.
He is. And I will tell you this, I certainly don't want him embarrassing... I'm sorry. First off, and you can tell that she's actually sort of distressed, right?
Yeah.
To see him in that bed, he can barely move. That animal almost... I think that animal tried to kill him on purpose, is what I think.
That's why I asked you to follow the money. Because it's entirely possible someone swindled your brother. Like, he wanted to be in this fight, but they promised nothing too bad would happen to him, and he paid to be in the fight. Look into it for me. I'm sure he's got a bookkeeper or something that you can pay off.
I'll see what
I don't want to go digging myself because it's your business, and you said you don't want your name out there.
Yes.
But maybe you could poke around for me. Let me know if you find anything, okay?
And I suppose if you went to the police, then my name wouldn't be in it.
That's right. We'll trade these. I'll go to the police, see what I find. You follow the money.
All right. I'll see what I can do. Thank you.
Nancy.
Yeah. Yes.
Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Yes. And she sort of like
Phyllis.
Phyllis.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And she sort of steps out onto the street, and she clearly finds the outside even less appealing than the inside. And
she does that thing where she just stops and goes, like, what am I even doing here?
And she has a car with a driver, and she gets into this, like, it's a nice town car and drives off. And you are there in your shop after this woman, Yates. Do you have like accounting maybe? That's a skill that involves rich people.
Do I? No, but I have somebody that does.
They might be able to tell you more about the Yateses if you were interested. Because yes. So
yeah, it's my neighbor.
Oh, really? Oh, that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to do? You have a mystery afoot. A woman who wants to get a book for her brother who's been so badly beaten that he's on death's door, and that apparently the person that was boxing him would not stop after the bell rang and had to be pulled off by multiple people. And it's all somehow around this book.
Yep. So, couple of things immediately that come to mind. I would like to talk to Helena, who is she does accounting or something like that, or she mothers me a little bit, and sometimes we get together, and I have a cheesecake with her name on it now. So I have an excuse to stop by and talk to her and see if I can get some more information. And the next thing that I want to do is talk to my friend David, who I don't even know if we're friends. Like, I can't tell. I don't know why I can't tell, but he has this, I don't know if he's joking when he says he thinks I'm a con artist, or if he just really actually believes that, and what does that exactly entail. But he's always trying to figure out if I am, and then he's going to report on it.
But then he never does.
No, he never does. So I think we're friends. I'm pretty sure we're friends.
You went to college with him, didn't you?
He was the photographer. It's his photography in my apartment. Yeah.
Funny.
You think so?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. What's your favorite photograph that he took?
A building. No one's in it that I know. It's just a building. I like it for some reason. It calms me down.
Interesting. How did you meet Helena?
Oh, I'm pretty sure I ran into her in the street, and I spilled her groceries all over the ground. I felt terrible about it. I think I broke her eggs, and so I had to go and I get some more at the store, and she was like, no, you don't have to do that. I insisted, and I think she didn't think I was actually going to come back. She didn't give me her address, but I hunted her down, and I found out where she lived, which is literally just like the house over, and kind of up on the upper floor, right? Because the building next to me is the laundromat. So she must live above the laundromat. Anyway, I hunted her down and I found her, and she was so surprised when she opened her door to find me with a new set of eggs and milk that had been spilled and broken all over the ground. And then we became friends. Sort of.
I have to ask you a question. I'm just curious. So you've got to get this book, right? For like $5,000. Which is like the equivalent of like...
Do you know how many books that's going to get me? I'm set for life.
It's like the equivalent of $80,000. Like, it's a lot of money.
Like, I could literally buy the laundromat next door and have the whole thing be for books. I'm not going to do that because I'd be putting so many people out of their home.
Of course.
But I mean, I could buy so many books with that.
I suppose I want to ask you a question. You know where the book is.
I do.
Dr. Lake has it.
I know. I got it for her.
You did. So are you just going to ask her to give it back? Do you think what are you going to do? Like, it's just right over there.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. So I'm going to talk to Helena about bookkeeping, and if she knows anything about this underground fighting ring, or like what that would look like. I'm curious to know. Here's my theory so far. Do you want to know what I'm thinking?
I'm ready.
Okay. I'm thinking that this brother of hers is got this idea in his head that by killing in a ritualistic fashion this man that is a bull, he will gain power or knowledge or ascend in some weird way.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that he either paid or was part of a group that, because the man was supposed to lose the fight.
He was.
And I'm assuming that Alvin was going to kill him and had every intention of killing him.
Mm-hmm.
Our friend didn't know that, though. Yeah. I think our friend assumed he would just lose a fight.
Yeah. There
has to be money involved.
Yeah.
There has to be money involved. And if there isn't money involved, then the whole thing is a little cult. But that seems a little less likely to me because he's making so much money with this fighting ring. It sounds to me more like Alvin and his little cults or friends. We'll call them friends. Alvin and his friends thought it would be a great idea because they have so much money that they could just buy their way into a fight and kill someone and get away with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good way to get away with killing somebody in a ritualistic fashion, right? And I think if I remember right, the book and my weird vision had a crowd cheering in the background. So that is an important element of the ritual. So there has to be money involved. I'm convinced. So I want to talk to Helena about this. And I lost my train of thought. I want to talk to David, my friend, not friend, that I think is my friend, and tell him I have a scoop for him. Oh. And it might be this underground fighting ring.
You know what I was thinking about?
Mm-hmm. What?
You know, you're like, their name, you know, the little drummer boy?
Uh-huh.
He's not that famous. Like, I mean, he's a boxer, right? But he's not like top of the line. You know what I mean? Like, he's not like, the best #1, great. Like, he's clearly like talented and all that. But like, I mean, if he went missing, right? Or if he died.
That's my point. And that's also why it's not a sanctioned fight. You know, Nancy went on and on about like, it's so underground. Well, of course it has to be, because if you're planning on killing someone and getting away with it, it's got to be underground, because the guy that you're paying to let you into the fight isn't going to turn on you. Yeah. He's not going to say anything about it.
Yeah.
I think I'm onto something.
Yeah. That seems disturbing. I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's fine. Right?
Well, I'm not fighting.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're not.
Right?
Clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that would be weird.
I mean, I do have $5,000.
Well, when you get the book, you get the rest of it. You know.
Yeah, but then maybe I could kill a bull and ascend and get whatever knowledge this is.
I wonder kind of like mystic powers you'd get.
Do they even exist?
When you commune with Mithras. You know, you do have a friend who's a kind of a weird occult book dude.
I do. That's Eric. No, that's the Eric. No, Eric does counterfeit money.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know why we're friends either.
Oh, well, you know, he's Russian.
Oh, that's right. I met him in my class, my Russian studies major. Mm-hmm. We were in lots of classes together. That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you for reminding me.
Oh, no worries. He was he had to leave during the revolution, you know, and start again here.
Yep.
But was
makes sense.
Yeah, right. It was Mr. Weileter.
Weileter, that's right. Oh yeah, he comes by every once in a while.
He's a weirdo.
He's super strange. Like, I know people think I'm odd, but he's on a different plane of oddness.
And he really hates leaving his place. He's got a ranch, in the canyons, and he he's got protective stones buried.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
I'm freaked out now. I was literally just visualizing strange stones in front of his house, and it's like a bungalow almost.
Yes, it's a little bungalow with these protected. I'm just telling you what happened. You know.
I know.
You've been there.
I was there.
Yes. Yeah. And he's the guy he always has like shotgun. He's it's a weird coot. But he's the one person.
Like, sometimes he'll say things that don't really make sense, and then like 2 weeks later, I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
This is what he was talking about, I think.
Yeah.
And also that makes a weird amount of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Weird stuff.
Yeah. There was that one thing though about him. he's got a doghouse, but you've never seen a dog.
No, I know. And he has that weird, he's got a weird statue that is standing out in my brain right now. It's like a man with a snake wrapped around it and a lion head.
Yeah. And I mean, most people just think he's eccentric.
Yeah, but he is like both in awe of this statue and afraid of this statue at the same time. You know how people will do that thing of like, don't touch that thing, and they're like, don't touch that thing because it's expensive.
Yeah.
He's more like, don't touch that thing because it will eat you.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And he's the one person you know that like really knows some pretty weird stuff. Like pretty weird stuff.
Yeah.
I wonder what he'd think about this stuff. I don't know. Yeah, it's weird.
So it's funny that you say that because he was one of the 3 people I wanted to contact.
Really?
Yep. So David, the reporter, my Helena, my neighbor. I'll seduce her with cheesecake, and this guy. Yeah,
you don't know his first name.
I don't. He only goes by Mr. and he always wears gloves.
Yeah.
He's always wearing gloves, and he like wipes his hands, even though they're gloved, on his coat before he touches anything.
Yeah.
It's like, you're wearing gloves, my friend.
And he often has different pairs of gloves. Like it's always like a different pair of gloves, you know? And you're like, oh, okay. But you know, it's got protective stones. It's a thing.
So
he's old. He's been out there for a while. Like he's one of those people that like was there before Los Angeles started really building up. You know what I mean? And
he complains about it all the time.
He's never letting go of his property.
He does not. Yeah, I'll never sell out.
You swear he must have been like you could imagine he was like a gold prospector in like the 1860s. You know, if you're like he's that kind of person. He's not that old, but like you can imagine it, right? He's got that vibe about him. So I feel like you can maybe talk to Helena before we call it for today.
Okay.
She's next door above the laundromat.
That's right. I will take the cheesecake and I will head upstairs. And is it still 4 in the morning?
Oh no, you're like at like 9, 10?
I felt, that's right. I don't remember falling asleep.
No, you remember waking up though.
Where's my coat?
Oh, you probably just left it in the house. It's just probably over there.
Okay.
Is it? Do you see it?
I don't.
Weird. Didn't you just leave it draped over, like, on the bench? Wasn't it? Wasn't it there?
I thought so. I thought
it's not there right now.
And it's not hanging up either.
Oh.
And it's not on the back of the couch, and it's not on the back of the chair, and it's not on the kitchen counter, which is somewhere where I leave it when I come in in a hurry with my groceries, and then I forget to hang it back up.
Back of the door? Weird. It was definitely there because you didn't take it out with you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure it'll turn up. Right?
That makes me feel weird. Apprehensive.
Where did you get that coat?
I can't remember.
How nice was it?
Really nice. It was warm. And I liked the way the fabric felt on my fingers.
Did it have piping?
You know what it did?
Was the piping red?
It was.
But what color was the coat?
Black.
Striking coat. Yeah, it's like that piping was like kind of like a red thread, you know? That just sort of... Weird. I'm sure it's fine.
I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah.
I'm just being paranoid now.
Yeah, no, that's weird. It's weird.
It's very weird.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
It's like one of those things where you think of something and then you see it everywhere.
Yeah.
Synchronicity or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
That's definitely what it is.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it's actually just somewhere in the apartment. I mean, your apartment's not that big, but I'm sure it's not.
It's buried under a book. Fell over. I probably set it somewhere.
Or it might even be in the shop. right? I mean, you know what? It's fine.
Yeah, it's probably in the shop.
Yeah.
I knock on the door because I've been thinking about this the whole way up.
The door opens and you see Helena Rogers, and she is a middle-aged Black woman who's got her hair sort of in a nice sort of pulled back into a nice bun. She's very professional looking. She dresses well.
It matters to her.
Yes.
And I like that about her.
Yeah. You know how some people don't have money, but they dress well? Because yes. they will be like, and
she's always dressed in her Sunday best.
Yes.
As she would say.
Yes. And she lives in your neighborhood, so it's not the best place to live, but she works around here. And living here is like pretty fancy for her because she's not living, South Central. And so she's got this place above the laundromat, may not be fancy, but for her it's important. And she works as an accountant in one of these big firms. And so she always dresses her best.
Absolutely. Why wouldn't you want every day to be your best? Why just Sunday?
But her apartment is shabby, right? Like it's a pretty small place above a laundromat. It's not particularly very big, but it's well cared for, right? Everything is clean. And it is homey, if that makes any sense.
I like it here.
Yeah, it's everything has its place, but
which is so the opposite of my place.
But there's a very comfortable couch, right? There's this really comfortable, like it's not everything's in its place, but it's not a sterile or a hard place. It's like a place with a lot of like soft places to sit. Like little like crocheted throw rugs, like a throw blanket on the table, that kind of like that kind of a place. And
she does it herself.
She does. She's always crocheting and knitting.
Yeah.
And
sometimes I'm like reading a book to her and she's crocheting and I don't think she's listening, but she always is. And she just sits there silently, and then when I'm done, she'll ask me questions about it.
And she opens the door and she sees you.
I hold up the cheesecake.
She smiles and she steps aside, letting you enter into her apartment.
I take my shoes off because I know that matters.
And when you come in, this place has got photographs of her children.
Yes.
There are these photographs of, she has 2 children who are now grown and married and somewhere else at this moment. She had a husband who must be dead. She doesn't talk about him. And these photographs you see of her life, right? On the sort of kind of like a mantelpiece of her younger. She clearly at some point in time had worked as a house cleaner. And you can see this diploma she has because she went to correspondence school. And you can see it. It's up
very
there.
Rare.
And it's this place,
Very
all these
memories,
right? All these memories. She clearly has worked herself up to a space where she has this like 1-bedroom place above a laundromat, and she works as an accountant for like good firms. She probably makes decent money, but since she still lives here, you assume she's probably sending money to family somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she walks in without saying much of a word, but she pours this cup of coffee and puts so much cream in it. And then she puts it on this little table that she has in, she doesn't really have a full kitchen, but there's this little table that kind of tries to make a space. And she puts it right down there and she sits on the opposite side of the cup of coffee.
While she's doing that, I get 2 tiny dessert spoons out because I know what we're doing. And I will bring she uses cloth napkins. They're very nice and embroidered. I think she embroiders them herself. So I get one of those out and I bring it over and I set it down, and then I sit down on the couch and wait for our cheesecake and tea or coffee.
And then she, of course, has a mint tea, which she always has. She has like this little mint tea. And she comes and she sits down and she moves a little slowly, probably back, right? Back stuff that's, hard work in certain ways. And she comes over and with her little sort of crocheted little blanket, she puts it over her lap as she sits next to you. And she looks about And then she smiles. And she has like a little kind of like a TV tray that she puts down on the couch so that you can have somewhere to place the drinks and the dessert. And she puts it down, and she looks at you, and she goes,
What?
Well, you're not wearing your coat.
I seem to have misplaced it.
Well, that's
before you say anything, I'm sure it's somewhere like in the mess, and I will clean it and organize it. I just don't have enough. I need bookshelves before I can do that, and I also need to fix my card catalog system that I'm working on, and I'll find my coat.
And you can tell she has a question that she's waiting for.
What?
Have you had lunch with that nice gentleman fellow friend of yours?
She's talking about David, isn't she? No, I'm gonna call him this afternoon later.
Well, you know you're not married.
And I'm not getting any younger.
And you're not getting any younger. And that young man has a job that's respectable. And he always seems to be coming around your shop.
Helena, I have a job that's respectable.
Well, good. You should. You've got to make sure you have your own money.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, what if I don't need a man?
Well, you may not need one, but I will say he does seem to come around more than once. I've seen him at your shop.
Maybe.
I seem to think that maybe he's sweet on you.
I don't know. I think he thinks I'm a con artist.
Well, why would he think that?
I have no idea.
Well, you're not a con artist. You just need to go and take better... Have you? You have not changed since yesterday.
No, I haven't. And I have soup stain on myself.
She looks with consternation. Dear, you need to take better care of yourself.
Yeah.
How much did you sleep last? You always stay up so late reading those books. Now, reading books is important. Books are knowledge, and that's the only way to get ahead in this world, is through knowledge. But...
a tingle goes up my spine when she says that.
Gotta find out things now. Have to sleep.
I promise I will try harder to sleep tonight.
All right.
I'll take a nap this afternoon. I have a question for you, though. It's really important.
Oh, all right.
Pursuit of knowledge and all that.
Oh, yes, please. Go ahead.
What do you know about bookkeeping?
Oh, well.
Like illegal bookkeeping.
Oh, well.
Like underground fighting ring bookkeeping.
Oh, we don't want to get messed up in those sorts of things.
I don't want to get messed up. I'm just curious as to how it works and how to figure out how to know when there are signs of that sort of thing happening. Like what does one look for when they're looking to see if someone's involved in that kind of illegal gambling?
Oh, illegal gambling now. Well, that's, you're not thinking about getting involved in illegal gambling, are you?
No. I'm working on finding a book for somebody, and this is related, and I just kind of want to know how deep the rabbit hole goes before I jump in, Like you said, I'm being extra cautious.
Well, here's the thing. I've got a cousin got involved in gambling. That's a fool's game, my friend. Phyllis, you see, you've got some sort of bookmaker who makes all the bets and whatnot,
Yeah.
But their job is to make money off of you. And they will do whatever they can to get you in debt, and then you owe them. And if you don't pay up, they'll break your leg or threaten your family. Or, there's always the lure making big paydays, but that's ungodly. Money is the root of all evil, after all. You don't need that sort of a thing. What you just need is family. And there's a little tinge of sadness as she says that, and friends and
What would you do if you had $5,000?
oh, that's more money than I think I'd ever seen my entire life. Well, I don't. That's fantasy money. That sort of money doesn't exist in the real world now, does it? Except for all sorts of people who work downtown, but not like you and me. Is everything okay with your shop? Are you paying your bills?
Yeah, everything's fine. I'm just... everything's fine. I was just curious.
Well, I'll tell you what. People who do that sort of a thing, this is why you shouldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to play fair, they want to win. Because winning means making money. Right? So, you said, did you say underground fighting or did you say horse racing?
I said underground fighting.
Oh.
I'm sure you've heard.
Well.
Right?
Yes.
McRory.
Oh, he's a terrible man.
Mm-hmm.
See about this fellow McRory. Here's how it works. You make a fighting match between two boxers of some sort, and people go and their odds. This is a favorite, this is not a favorite. People bet and they say, I bet so-and-so will win. And, and if they win, they get money back. That's how betting goes. Now, the thing, of course, is that if the two fighters are well matched, then people will go either way, and no one knows who will win. And, you can make money if you're somebody like McRory. But if it's clear who's going to win, well, then McRory loses money, doesn't he? Right? Everybody pays all the money to go and bet on the person who's going to win, and that person wins, and then he has to pay out all the money. So, well... So
if you matched a scrawny, I don't know, somebody who looks like a rich dude against somebody who's really massive and towering over him and like made a muscle, like, I don't know, worked at the docks or something.
Ooh.
Obviously, everyone's going to bet on the guy who works at the docks, right?
Well, of course, yes. That would be the way to go. So
that's a lot of money to lose.
Well, yeah, that would be a lot of money to lose. It would indeed. Now, I would say, please note, I do not go for these sorts of things. But if it were me, because you see, McRory is not just a bookie; he's also the fight. What do you call that? A fight coordinator of promoter. He puts the matches together. So, yes, that's he does.
And who's his boss? Everybody's got one, right?
Oh, well, I don't know. It's probably one of those all the way up there, they call it the outfit, I think they call it, all that sort of organized crime, I think. Well, the point is, if you're a boxing promoter, you wouldn't put together a scrawny rich person and a big towering man just so, because then you would lose money. That wouldn't be an interesting fight.
Unless it was fixed.
Oh, well, that would be cheating, wouldn't it? But yes.
Well, you said they want to win.
They do. I mean, if you fix it like that, then I imagine... well, but here's the problem with these sorts of fixings, yes? You have to get the fellow to agree to the fix. The big towering fellow would have to agree to it. And
that's where you follow the money.
Well, yes, I imagine that if that fellow, the big fellow, you'd have to pay him a lot of money for it, right? You'd have to give him quite a bit of money to...
Helena, thank you. I'm so sorry. I have to go. This has been so helpful. Enjoy the rest of the cheesecake.
Okay. Well, all right.
I'll come back. I promise. Also, think about what you would do with $5,000, just for fun.
All right. When you come back, I'll tell you about how my daughter and son are doing. They've moved.
Really? Where to?
Well, my son is in Florida. She's there working, and my daughter, she's still here in Los Angeles, but she's so very busy, with all the grandchildren. 3. I've not seen them, in a few months. So she's very busy. Her and that husband of hers, they're always busy. But I'm sure they're going to come and visit any time. Someone stopped by asking for you the other day. I thought that was strange.
stopped by here?
Yes. A friend of yours.
Did you get their name?
No.
What do they look like?
Ooh. Oh, that's strange. Don't quite remember. Small child. Bright green eyes, I remember that. Well, they said they were looking for you. They couldn't find you, that you had moved. But someone saw you here.
I go white as a sheet.
Oh, dear. Ooh. And she, pats your hand. Were you all right?
I'm feeling a little dizzy. You're right. I should definitely get some sleep.
Ooh.
I'm going to go do that right now.
Oh, all right, then. Anyway, I told the little one that you were down the shop, down there next door.
Great.
They said they'd find you. Have they come by yet?
No, not yet. But I'll keep my eyes open for that.
Okay.
How much do you think train or whatever would cost to get to Florida?
Oh, well, I don't know. You see, I can't necessarily take all. It's very difficult traveling, you know. And she says that in that way that has so much weight to it, both because she's older. Mm-hmm. Physically, it's difficult. She's a woman. Traveling by herself is not so great. And she's black, which means there are a bunch of places she can't go.
Yeah.
And so there's this sort of like a slight kind of sadness to that. Oh, traveling is quite difficult. I don't know.
Well, maybe we could take a trip to Florida together.
Oh, we'd have to drive through the South. I don't know about that.
Oh.
We'd have to see. Well.
Okay.
Do you know, my husband was a Pullman porter, you know, and she's like, I can get photographs, and she goes to.
And then I'm like, oh, but I'm so tired. I'm I feel
you're
dizzy
right.
And I'm nauseous.
No.
Next time.
Yes. Oh, well,
I love your photographs.
All right.
And then I do. I actually look through her family photos a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I head out, and I know we're gonna end there.
We are.
But I can't stop thinking about this little friend. And I'm trying so hard to think about what I'm going to say to David, but I can't stop thinking about this young boy with green eyes.
I'm going to ask you this question. Mm-hmm. When you walk out of this building, where do you go next? Soup-stained outfit and all. What are you wearing, by the way?
Oh,
in this brisk January.
May I defer to you because you know what I would be wearing during this time period, and I don't.
I mean, I would imagine you're probably wearing, depending on your personality, a kind of a work dress. I can imagine a heavier wool.
I was thinking slacks, but we could go with a work dress.
It depends. It depends on how you go. It depends on whether you're going with a dress or slacks. It's the 30s, so you could be wearing slacks. If you were, they'd be wide-legged, right? Because that's sort of the fashion right now.
Yeah, and a vest or something, right?
Yeah, and maybe a blouse, a vest.
That's what I was thinking, a blouse.
You might have a jacket, actually. You could have a jacket on as well, but you would probably want a coat.
Well, I don't have that jacket. Oh, you mean a coat?
Yeah. You'd probably be wearing a jacket, a suit jacket, a tailored suit jacket to go with your outfit. Because, that's nice. Of course, be wearing a hat. That's important.
Of course.
Also gloves, because you're going outside, but you're not wearing your coat. And the jacket, of course, is not an outdoor jacket. It's you'd be wearing your coat over it. So you're without your coat.
So I'm definitely getting looks, I suppose.
I mean, you look fancy, but you're a little bit underdressed for the weather.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm heading to the newspaper because that's where he works.
And as you head towards the newspaper, you leave your neighborhood behind. And as we sort of bring our curtain to the space.
As you said that, I felt the prickly go up my spine. And
I was going to say something.
I couldn't turn around. I still couldn't turn around.
Yeah. It's interesting. So you don't turn around, so you don't see it. But you hear something. right when you get on the trolley to take you downtown, right when you're about to step on the trolley, and as the trolley's pulling off, you hear a dog bark.
No.
You do. Is that a warning? That's probably nothing. It's probably nothing.
It's probably nothing.
And my friends,
good
that
shit.
is into
That
part
was
one.
Good shit. That was awesome. That was like 3 straight hours of improv, and it was awesome.
Oh,
Feed my soul. That was so good.
Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, I'm very excited.
Also, that's the episode title. I'm sure it's nothing.
I'm sure it's nothing. That is.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I'm writing it down.
So good. Mm-hmm.
So, everyone, thank you for being here for part one of The Red Mist. We have next Friday, we'll be doing part two. Same bat time, same bat channel next time. Mm-hmm. And I'll make sure we have intro music. Also we have some fan art that I want to put into a slideshow for our break screen. I'm very excited.
Heck yeah.
Some Cthulhu Confidential fan art. And I want to thank all of the cheers that have come in. Mm-hmm. And I would like to ask a question.
To me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
PB.
Mm-hmm.
The pumpkinest of all the berries. The berriest of all the pumpkins. Could you introduce yourself? Yes. Tell us who you are, where we can find you, and then answer this question.
Okay. Let me do the other thing first, because I'll focus on only the question. Hi, I'm PumpkinBerry, or PB, as everybody calls me. You can find me at Twitch at PumpkinBerry. You can also find me over on Table Story, where I am a player currently in a Wednesday show called Spellwind, which is D&D 5e. It's homebrew. It's amazing. It's a revolution. It's great. I also GM some stuff. I'm not doing anything currently right now, but I'm working on stuff. And yeah, that's me. And yeah, I do lots and lots of role play, and I love this stuff. It feeds my soul. So this was great.
So,
okay, what's the question?
Here's the question. It's a two-part question.
Okay, I'm ready.
What question do you, PB, have for next time? And what question does Phyllis have for next time?
Okay. I'm going to go in reverse order. Mm-hmm. So Phyllis's question for next time is... Ooh, this is so good. Why wouldn't he just ask Lake for the book? Mm-hmm. Why doesn't he know that Lake has the book? Mm-hmm. That's the main driving question. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, here's the thing. You got that book for her a bit ago.
Yeah.
His sister seemed to imply that he was hanging out with her in some way, probably.
Yeah.
Which means he probably should know that she has the book.
He should know.
Right?
Mm-hmm. It's also entirely possible she does not have the book any longer, and he is just trying to get it for her. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Or he's trying to take it from her, and they are no longer friends. So there's a lot of possibilities that are going through Phyllis's mind. Mm-hmm. PB's question, which I don't think you'd be able to answer if it's the finale, part 2. But PB's question is, was Phyllis doomed the moment she picked up that book?
See, the question is, what does doom mean, really? You know?
That she will... Yeah, that's true. I'll leave it at that, because we don't know.
I have more than one answer, and they're all a little different.
I love it.
There's different kinds of doom, you know? Mm-hmm. But I will say this. Phyllis does have a little bit of a fever.
How dare.
Just a little hot.
Should have remembered your coat.
That's it. And I'm troopersjp. I'm GMing this, and I'm so overjoyed and happy to have PB as Phyllis Oakley. You don't even know how excited I am to get this one-on-one time with PB, to go and do all the dramatic excitement. And I want to thank everybody here who's come to watch our show. Thank you so much. You all are amazing and awesome. And next week, I feel like, you know, Phyllis is just going to go ask Dr. Lake for that book, get the book, and deliver it, and everything's going to be done. We're fine.
It'll be totally fine. And, you know, I'm going to give Helena $1,000 and give her a heart attack. It's going to be fine.
You probably
no big deal.
Oh.
She would probably straight up have a heart attack.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Look, I'm sure there's no problems. I'm sure just you go talk to Dr. Lake, be like, hey, Dr. Lake, how you doing? Easiest job. Can I have the book? And she'll be like, sure, of course. And then she'll be like, here's your book. And you'll be like, great. And you're like, hey, Alvin, here's the book. And he's like, great. And then everything's fine.
I'm not recreating a labyrinth by running all over looking for this book.
No. Which direction are you taking that labyrinth, by the way?
Right.
Interesting. Cool. Yeah. I'm just going to note that for later.
My instinct. Okay.
This might be important later.
Everybody clench your butthole, because I'm like,
All right.
See you next week.
See you next week, everybody. Take care.